Hello everyone, I'm here today with a flip through video. I am showing the second half of my summer trip album, and I used a summer kit for that. So if you haven't watched the summer kit series, probably go back and do that and then come and watch this, because this is the end, the wrap up video. So I have here what is left in my kit. So I'm going to take it out and kind of just show you. So it will be helpful to watch the very first video so you see what was in there so that you can compare what I used and what I have left. So here are all the items I had. I actually started the kit with 3 pieces of ribbon. I entirely used 1 piece. And then this, I only used snippets of it, so I still have that portion left. And I don't believe I used any of this. Wait, that's not true. I did use this, yes. So both of these at least partially got used. And then I had some wood veneers. I didn't end up using any of these, I don't think, because I had some other ones that didn't come in this set. So those will go into my general travel stash to use for something else. These came on their own sheet, so as you can see, I used a couple of those, which is great. This was my bag of little just phrase labels, little embellishments, and this thing was pretty full when I started, and this is all I have left. So I tried to add in a bunch of stuff, and even when the layouts were done, I actually went back and added in more stuff. So when you watch the flip through, you may see some extra things that weren't there when I originally did the video. This sheet was full, so I used quite a few of those stickers as well. This was already partially used. It was just something that I had left in my stash for a long time, but I did use more of them, so I'm happy with how many got used. This entire sheet was full when I started, so I used a ton of these, and I'm actually contemplating buying a second set because I really like them, and I kind of still want to have them, so I don't want to give them up. So number 2 might be ordered. This was an old set of Cocoa Daisy rub-ons, and I didn't use a huge amount. I think I used maybe 4 or 5, but again, got to use some of them. This was also a full sheet, so I used quite a bit of the stars. I think I only used one little doodad that was in here for something. Oh, and then, you know what, I'm going to put the cards to the side. This little pack of stickers, again, very miscellaneous. Only used a couple. I think I only used one off this old Kelly Perky sheet. This was a Cocoa Daisy set, and I used quite a few of these, so you'll see those pop up in the videos. And then same here, this one was partially used, but I used several things on different layouts. So I'm not sure what else I will do with this. I'll probably just put it back in my summer stash of stuff in my seasons bin and keep it in there for next year. And then I have this big sheet of stickers, and I hadn't used much on here at all, so you can see I did manage to work in some of them, which is awesome because that's a big sheet of stuff. And this will now go back into my regular travel stash, so it'll definitely get used more. So now I have papers and cards. I'm going to do the papers first. So some of these were 6x8 sheets or 6x12s, and this is what I have left. So I've cut them down to fill pockets and make my own cards. And like this was a full 6x8, and this worked out really well to use that in a couple places. So I have those left. This paper, I actually used more of the red side than the other side. This was the side that I bought it for because I liked the kind of retro family time thing. And I did use that on a layout, but I predominantly used the right side, or this side, the red side. So this is all I have left. So I think that's pretty good from a 12x12 sheet of paper. And then these were all just 6x8s that I randomly threw in there that I thought might work, given some of the things we saw. So some of these that were 6x8, I didn't cut into at all. There were several 6x8 papers. I used the entire thing. So those are gone, which is good. That's what I wanted. So now these will go back in my regular stash. This was a 9x12 piece of paper that I cut into, again, make my own cards. So this is all I have left of that. And then this paper, threw it in there because I knew I had some outside stuff, ended up not using it at all. So it'll go back in my regular stash. Now, for my 3x4 cards, I am so happy with what I used. This is all I have left. And this was actually a 4x6 that I cut in half. So it has now become a 3x4. That's it. Of all the ones that I put in there, this is all I have left. Some of these are clearly very outdoorsy, so those will go back in either my outdoor stuff or summer stuff for another year. These are kind of generic and can use for anything, so I love it that those can go back in my normal stash. And, you know, for what I started with, I'm super pleased that I only had 6 left. And then lastly, for my extra embellishment stuff, I had these 2 acrylic pieces I did not use, a chipboard piece. These are just some random leaves. I did use some of those, but I had quite a few, and so that's what's left. And then I had some sequins in there because I thought maybe I would do a page that had sequins fused in the pocket. I ended up not needing these. I did use sequins, I just didn't use these, and they'll go back in my regular stash as well. So with that said, now let's move on to the layouts. All right, so here we are at the actual layout. So all of these in the second part are from July. So this is kind of serves as the opening page for July. The other layouts will eventually be here. So June and July will be in the same album, but I'm only showing these since this is the wrap up of the second half. So this just shows our starting point here when we decided we were going to go back to the same Airbnb that we had used in June. So I wrote a little about that. My husband did the first leg of the driving this time, so I got to be the passenger, which was awesome. And then I love to do my little screenshots of the maps to show where we're going and how we're getting there. And you can see I used lots of little doodads from the kit. And then this layout, we found an old school candy store in town in Chippewa Falls, so I wrote about that. And then they also had a brochure there, so I used some of the paper from my kit, made some little tabs so I could insert it here. This is actually a photo that I included over what was there. It was just their hours and things, and so I put my own photo there. And then because I used tabs, you can still fully open the brochure to see everything on the inside. And so here I've used that paper again. I used a lot of that. I think I actually used the entire thing. I don't think I had any of that left. And then what I did here was I had an insert that was all 2x2s, and I just cut it down to only be 1 row because that's all I needed. So, you know, sometimes you have to DIY the page protector style that you need. And so that was the case here. And then here I didn't do a whole lot except to add in a chipboard sticker that I had that was from one of the sheets in the kit and made it work. So here's just a flip out that I have with some puffy stickers, phrase label. This was an easy one to put together because these photos were so busy and colorful on their own. I didn't need to do a lot. Then after that, we went to take a picnic lunch in the area. They have a local zoo there, and then they have a picnic area off of that. So we decided to go there. Again, just little doodads from the kit that I had. There we are having our lunch. And I just did a small 3x8 insert because I didn't have enough photos to really warrant a full 2-pager. And so I did an insert instead. And then after that, Chippewa Falls is very close to a bigger town called Eau Claire. And they have a scrap store there called Picture This. And so I wanted to stop in there since they had reopened. So I got to spend about 20 minutes shopping, which was great. And so everything was so colorful, I wanted to include it. So it's a very pastel layout. Here's that paper again. Now you can see why it all got used because I liked it, so I used it a lot. And then a card I had, just some little embellishments, stamping. I stamped on a lot of these layouts, which is pretty typical for me. And then this was our last leg before we checked into the same place, and I had a sticker that they actually give out from that Airbnb, so I used that. And then we jumped right in and started playing Cards Against Humanity. So I wanted to capture that. And there's some fun paper that I showed at the start of the video. This was the kind of family activity side. So that red part is what's on the other side. And then these were just some random shots I had from walking around town. They had some cute things in their downtown area, if you can call it that. It's about 4 blocks. It's a tiny town. And so I wanted to include that. Some of the history of the town, I thought that was fun. And you'll notice like a lot of these don't have journaling because I didn't feel like they really needed it. I wanted to focus on the photos. So like here I made my own card, but I didn't journal. I didn't think it needed it necessarily. The phrase labels that I chose from the kit worked just fine. And then this is one of the last layouts I put together. So you have seen this one if you've been watching this series. Just added some phrases, puffy sticker, tab, pretty easy. And then this was another insert because I didn't have a lot to go with it. It was just kind of like, okay, these are snacks we brought with us to have. And then we went to a local pizza joint in town and brought it back to the Airbnb house and we ate there. And so here we are the next morning, waking up. I love the the style of these. I love yellow anyway. And so when I saw, oh, there's this beautiful yellow comforter, I wanted to show kind of morning life, getting out of bed, getting ready to start the day. And then we were off to La Crosse for a little day trip. And so we happened to randomly come across a lovely field of sunflowers. And I wanted to showcase that. So I got to use lots of things from the kit on this page. And then again, I wanted to show the route that we took. And so I took a screenshot of our map. And then I have this card in my kit. And I normally don't like frames like that where it forces me to use them. But for this card, it worked out really well. I had photos that would fit in there just perfectly. And then here I got to use more stars from the kit. This one actually has a flip here. And I built this card myself out of kit elements because I didn't have anything else that worked. Just added a tab here, kept it pretty simple, but I like the way it looks. After we got into town, everybody was hungry. It was lunchtime, and so we found a restaurant that was accommodating people safely, given COVID was happening. And so we decided to try it, a good family-style restaurant, and everything we had was great. So I wanted to highlight all of our food choices here. And then we went to, well, just my daughter and I went to the Riverside International Friendship Gardens. And I had been there once years before, but it had been a long time. It looked mostly the same, except they added a new African area kind of at the end as you're walking through. So it was fun to see some old stuff and some new stuff. And this is where you go in. So it's a very Asian themed garden at the start. I wanted to make sure I highlighted that. Then this is probably my favorite layout of all the ones I did because I love the bright summery colors. I love the pretty sequins I got to use. I love that there's a 3x8 insert in between and it matches on both sides. And I just got to do some fun things with this one. There's that ribbon that I said I used the whole thing of. This is that ribbon. I used part of it in the June layouts and then the rest of it here for July. So that was great to finally use that up in its entirety. There's some more photos of the garden. This was one of the last layouts I did as well. And then I like this one, I gotta be honest, because I got to use purple. I don't get to use purple that often, so it was great to use it here. And I just, added some phrase labels really to a lot of this and a little heart embellishment, and that's it. It didn't take much. So simple is good. And then just more miscellaneous photos. This was our dinner the second night. We had some leftover pizza and got a salad in town. And then my husband and one of my sons, they're just gaming before dinner. Why not? And then this is the next morning when we got up. So I wanted to take a shot before I was even out of bed and to show the temp. It was cooler that day, which was very nice given how hot July normally is here. And then we went to a cheese factory / store that morning and bought a bunch of fun things to take home. And then from there we went to River Falls on our way home. Again, a screenshot of our route that we took so you can kind of see the mileage and where we're going. Then an entry sign into town. This is a card I had in the kit. Another card I had in the kit. And I just did minimal embellishment there with a little journaling because the best photos are to come. These, I love them. And I got to use this big frame acrylic piece that normally I would never use, but I had dropped it in the kit thinking, oh, maybe I'll find a way, who knows? And there it is. I worked it in there. That was a card I kind of altered to make it fit what I wanted. Got to use a big cork piece specific to summer, which is awesome. And then these are my other favorite photos. I loved finding the dam and the waterfall. It looked so good when we were down there. And it was cooler down there too because we were near the water. It was a little bit of a challenge though because I had a red shirt on. And there was not a lot of red things in this kit, but I did have this. I had a card that had that on there and it all came together. And then getting closer to the end, These were some simple photos too from that same spot, and it made it really easy to just kind of go green, blue, brown. Not too complicated. So to get everything in here though, I did have to do a flip. So I put just a wood veneer there. And again, I had to make my own card. I had to build on a background card because it was kind of boring. So I made it my own that way. And then I got to use this lovely acrylic piece that says The Great Outdoors. Perfectly fit a 3x4 horizontal card. And then the last one, this was from the Project Life app, so that was not in my kit. I did have to pull that online from the app, printed it. And then one last photo with just some labels here, and it's done. So now you've seen all of the July layouts. The June ones are already done. They'll go in here, and then it's finished. Thanks for watching.